Welcome to Around the Girdle Earth, a podcast where Dartmouth stories come to life. I'm your host, Yovany Jerez. I'm a class of '03. And in each episode, we sit with members of the Dartmouth alumni community to explore the moments, mentors, the memories that shaped them from the green to the great unknown. Whether you graduated last year or decades ago, these conversations offer a window into the journey we have taken and the common threads that connect us all. So grab your favorite drink, take a walk with us, and let's dive right in. On today's episode, we have Ubaldo Lopez, who recently graduated in 2021. Ubaldo, welcome to our podcast. And why don't you kick us off by giving us a little bit of background about your pre-Dartmouth history, your family, friends, your high school, where you grew up.
Yeah, Yovany, thank you for having me. I appreciate you telling these stories. It's really cool to hear and see you watch this thing grow. So a little bit about me with the name Ubaldo. Obviously, Hispanic by background. My mom, she was born and raised in Cuba, and then she moved to Venezuela. I met my dad. She moved to Venezuela to go to college, basically. Met my dad there, who was born and raised in Caracas, Venezuela. They met there, electrical engineers, both of them, not me, but that's their kind of story. And then moved to the United States. I think it was about 94. 4 years later, I came up and born and raised in South Florida. So it's basically, I didn't really leave Latin America, to be honest with you. First language was Spanish. In fact, my high school, middle school, elementary school, all my friends, everyone I knew really was Hispanic. So that's a little bit about kind of my growing up, right? I had frijoles con arroz, pollo, y todo eso. Even my family had a...
Y lechon, of course.
Lechon, yeah. My family has a Cuban restaurant. And that's where I learned about lechon. And man, to this day,
where's your restaurant?
Yeah, it's called Sergio's Restaurant. It's a little bit of a chain now, but there's one in Hialeah. There's one in Pepper.
I know Sergio's. I've been to Sergio's.
Yeah, that's us. That's us.
That's amazing. Well, I don't know if you're aware, I'm Cuban American as well. I was born and raised there for the first 12 years of my life. Mm-hmm. And like yourself, my parents were also engineers. Yeah. Industrial engineers. Yeah. and however, when we came to the US, we went to Boston. We skipped Miami. But as soon as I graduated from Dartmouth, that was my first stop. I lived over there on Collins Avenue, right next to the beach, and it was just an amazing 1 year and a half. It was quite a debacle as a single man making money, to be honest.
That's why I moved away from Miami after college, because I knew the story.
So it's your parents, yourself. Do you have any siblings?
Yeah, I have a little brother and a little sister. So I'm the oldest. I was the first person to really get used to American culture. My parents didn't know any better. And being in Miami, it helps because it's a little bit of a mix. But it's learning how to go to college. I had to do that kind of all on my own because my parents never did it before. And then I taught my siblings how to do it. And so since then, right, within Miami, as a Cuban American, by the way, I make this debate. I always say this: Cubans make the best pork. I live in Texas now. I've been Texas barbecue. I've been in Memphis. No, Cubans make the best pork. But being a Cuban American, Venezuelan too, I played baseball growing up, and I was pretty good too. So I actually was really good in high school. We won a couple state championships, and then, funny enough, that's a little bit of my introduction to Dartmouth. So it's a little bit unique. On the recruiting trail, Jonathan Anderson and Coach Whalen were the ones who started recruiting me. And to be honest, like I said, my parents didn't grow up here. When they heard Dartmouth for the first time, they didn't know what it was. So we Googled it. We Googled it and found out, oh my gosh, this is a really good school. Ubaldo, we should maybe look at this. So year over year, I started learning more and more. And then ultimately fell in love, right? And then decided this Hispanic kid from Miami is going to go to the middle of New Hampshire in the woods because it just seems like a good time.
Yeah. So dig a little bit more on that. Give us more details. Okay, so the sports connection opened awareness of Dartmouth.
Yeah.
So then what? You visited before applying, before being accepted. What were those first impressions?
Yeah, my so it was in summer baseball. I got a text from a random number I didn't know, and it was like, "Hey, this is Dartmouth. This is what we're about. Love to meet you." And so we had conversations. They went well. We aligned a lot on the values. Then my junior year, we had a junior day, and junior day is in the middle of, I think it was January or February at Dartmouth. So that was my first time really seeing snow, and I was a little bit taken aback. Um, and I was like, I don't know, this is pretty cold. But what was really cool was seeing the environment of it, right? The baseball team, for one, was a family, but even Dartmouth as a whole, right? Being a small school, seeing how everyone really knew each other, that connected with me. So it kind of figured I put more clothes on, a little bit more layers, and I'll be fine.
So when was it your first choice? What did you know for sure you were doing it? Like, did you consider other options?
Yeah. My to be honest with you, my first choice, I was a Miami kid, right? So I wanted to go to Miami, be a big baseball star. But the more I grew up and the more I saw the potential, right, of where I can go with Dartmouth, made it become my first choice. And then Dartmouth got on me pretty early. Columbia started getting in the mix, and I was basically tasked with making a decision: middle of New York City or New Hampshire, Hanover, New Hampshire. And I visited both, and something about being in Hanover, New Hampshire, I felt more calm. New York seemed like a lot, and so Dartmouth became my first choice, right? And then that's how I went.
Wow, that's wonderful. How about your parents when they first visited Hanover, New Hampshire? What was their impression? What words came to mind?
Que frío.
In English, because I know in Spanish he was like, "Coño."
Yeah, they were like, "Wow, it's cold out here," but I mean, we even in the winter, the campus is beautiful, so we were taken aback by it. And then
like a little postcard, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
it's funny too, because it's kind of like the car thing. Dartmouth is all around, and we didn't really realize it until we started talking to Dartmouth. Then we were like, "Oh, Jake Tapper. Oh, Dr. Seuss. Oh, here's this. Oh my gosh, a lot of people go to Dartmouth. This is a small school, but it has a strong connection." And Mom, to this day, she's super proud. She said, "I can't believe I raised a kid who went to an Ivy League school. I'm a Cuban. She was born in, like, even for Cuba standards, in the middle of nowhere. Esante Espiritu. You being Cuban, I don't even know if you."
Yeah, no, I know exactly where it is. I'm on the Havana part. That's on the east part.
Yeah, but small town, right? So she couldn't even believe her eyes. She couldn't even conceptualize it. So that's essentially how I got into Dartmouth, and that was my story getting there.
Wait, so you got recruited for baseball.
Mm-hmm.
Did you play all 4 years?
Played all 4. Yeah. Well, we had COVID, so it was a little more complicated. So we cut off 2 years, but the first 2 years, my freshman and sophomore year, I played baseball at Dartmouth. And so,
I mean, playing varsity sport, that's not an easy feat in college, because I started with swimming,
mm-hmm.
and 2 weeks into it, I'm like, nope. Like, I'm going to prioritize my Dartmouth experience and other ones. I'm not going to shave off 5 more seconds into my timing. I'm not going to get to the Olympics. Like, I'm good,
Yeah.
So.
And it's funny, talking a little bit about Dartmouth, right? One thing I want to mention is, like, COVID, right? COVID was such a unique experience, and everyone has their Dartmouth experience. Mine was interesting because my first 2 years at Dartmouth, I was an athlete, student athlete. That was 1, 2, and 3. Junior year, we weren't on campus, so I was remote. But even then, we still connected with clubs, like via Zoom like this, and became friends via online. So that was cool. Then my senior year, we didn't have a season, so I became a student at Dartmouth, and so I got to experience my last year, what that other side of the Dartmouth experience is like. Honestly, worked out for the best, right? Because I got to see both sides of what it was like.
Did you get an opportunity to hike, try any other intramural sports, like anything like that?
Yeah, I love it, to the point I still go hiking pretty often. Every chance I can, I do, and I picked that up from Dartmouth. I'm a water lover too, so kayaking on the river, swimming in the river, although it was pretty cold, colder than I'm used to. Those were a lot of my hobbies there. One thing I still won't do, I'm scared of it, skiing. I know it's something I'm terrified of, so I haven't done that one yet.
I bid the offer my freshman year. You know how they offer you like a free lift and a free rental skis to go to the lodge over there. So I was
Yeah.
like, okay, if they're making it free, like I got to try it. And I
Mhm.
went out there, and my first day was miserable, but then my second day I got the hang of it, and I was like, all right, I might be the first Cuban in skis right now, but I'm
Yeah,
doing it.
right. Yeah, and to this day, maybe one day, but I think I
What did
missed
you
that.
major in?
Yeah, I was a government major, and what I minored in is what I find a little more interesting. I minored in Latin American studies, because I find it's funny looking back that I grew up in Latin America for all intents and purposes, but I went to Dartmouth to learn about Latin America as well. Um, reason behind it was both of my parents come from Venezuela and Cuba, which are tough countries. Tough countries. That's just how it turned out. So something that really drove me, and it helped me in my studies, was I found it really interesting as to how can a country get like that? What are the situations that get like that, and how do we avoid? That was my thinking at the time, is what can I learn to avoid potential future problems? And so I found a lot of the Latin American studies program within Dartmouth. It's small, but the professors were phenomenal. Oh my gosh, the amount of things I learned throughout every country. Obviously, I knew a little bit about Cuba and Venezuela beforehand, but learning about the Haitian Revolution, learning about Brazil, Chile, Peru, so on and so forth. That's why I was able to become both. I really love baseball, but at the same time, I was really excited about my studies too, because every time I feel like I was learning a little bit more about myself, or at least my culture. So that's what I studied, and then government as well, right? Same kind of fact pattern too.
So would that be your 20-minute tech talk on your passion or your insights into how to avoid
Yeah, that would be
turning
it.
to another
I,
catastrophe?
I learned some good things. So maybe for a different podcast, but that one, yeah, I learned some things that you really understand. You start to see the signs a little bit, and it's nothing's ever one for one. But I feel like I have a good gripe as to what things we should avoid.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I share your passion and your insights. I spent a lot of time at Dartmouth studying, like, hey, what are these different social economical systems? And
Mhm.
part of it, I think it was my PTSD from Cuba.
Yeah.
Uh, that's part of the reason I did my study abroad in Denmark, Copenhagen, Denmark, the sociology department,
Hmm.
because there was this entire, the third way. And I
Uh-huh.
was like, what is this third way between like radical, capitalism and like communism? Oh, it's in the northern countries. Let me study it. And I
Yeah.
went out there, and I think I ended up with the conclusions that like, no, that's a pretty free market
Hmm.
economy as well. They just have different social benefits,
Hmm.
right? But they only have the social benefits because they're able to fund them, right?
Exactly.
They're making money
To
in
be able to
order
do it.
to provide, the free education, the free healthcare, like all
Hmm.
these things,
Hmm.
which hey, and the other big thing, they tend to be pretty homogeneous societies
Yeah.
compared to the U.S., which has 300 plus million people from different walks of life, right?
Exactly. Exactly. So 100%. That's what I really love studying. That's what drew me to Dartmouth, and learning from the professors there was cool too. But that's not to say, right? There were still some rough periods too. As a student athlete, you do pull some all nighters.
How many? How many did you pull, man?
Depends what you determine. What do we define an all nighter? I never
You
made it the full way. I never made it the full way, but I did get up to when the sun was up. When the sun was coming up, I did get there, but I never made it the full way.
No,
So
I had probably a handful of. I never went to sleep. I just went to class next day, right, and
oof.
turned the paper, all of that.
Mhm.
Those are brutal. I've had probably another handful of like, hey, I went all the way to like 6 a.m. and then I
Yeah.
went to the dorm and I crashed.
Hmm.
The academic rigor, it's real at Dartmouth,
It's
right? And
100%.
and I don't know if you had friends at other schools and did a little comparison
Oh my
yourself.
gosh. Yeah. And hearing it now at work, I'm like, wait, what? Your school is way different. And the college athletes too, because we deal a lot with like I know a lot of college athletes. Tell you what, playing baseball at Texas is a little bit different from playing baseball at Dartmouth.
How was that? Tell me more.
Well, at Dartmouth, you really are a student athlete. The athletics are important, right? But when it comes to your studies, you don't really have any. You have some grace, but it's not to the point where other schools may have it. And so a bigger school, and even so, I went to grad school. So I played baseball in a different school. Georgetown was a little different, which is where I went. It's there. You're more of an athlete student, or maybe a little bit more even. But at Dartmouth, which I needed at the time, because I was like, I'm a baseball player first. It helped round me a little bit because it made me take a step back and understand there's more to it than becoming an athlete. Whereas Texas, not going to make any accusations, but some people maybe don't go to class as much. Yeah.
Okay, we'll protect the innocent by not naming anybody. That's fine. That's fine. So, what motivated you to go to business school right after Dartmouth? That's actually in itself is an unusual track because you graduated from Dartmouth and jumped right into grad school.
It was a two-parter. So, like I mentioned, I had COVID, and I was really in love with baseball. So I had 2 years of eligibility, and so I was looking for a way to continue to play baseball. But I also didn't want to sacrifice the Dartmouth. I already had I had a Dartmouth education. How do I back that up? And I was very close to just taking another job and taking a job straight and going to New York, doing the classic route. But then right at the end of it, the Georgetown coach called me, and it's in a similar situation, right? They're both very different, but they're both high academic schools. And Dartmouth I feel like this is a common path where you go from the middle of the woods, now you want to go to the city. Georgetown's in DC, so I thought it was a really good fit. Plus, I had the government major. I had the philosophical, the political points of it, but I didn't know how to translate that into the money, right? In terms of the finances, how are you going to make this work for the government things? Like you mentioned earlier, is they can pay for it. So I knew what the idea is. I just didn't know how you can pay for stuff. So that seemed like a logical next step for me was, okay, now let's go learn about something else here at Georgetown. And that's kind of what drove a little bit. It was a little bit of both, right?
So what are you doing now professionally? You're doing some sort of consulting.
Mm-hmm.
In what space?
Yeah, so I do tax consulting, and it's not as boring as it sounds. What's interesting about it is there's a very niche credit out there, and it's called an R&D credit. The idea behind it is to keep manufacturing jobs, engineering jobs within the United States. So if you're a company who hires a lot of engineers, who's doing a lot of innovative type things, you get a pretty powerful tax credit. And people like companies like Deloitte and the big four type of companies have this service. What my company does is we focus on smaller businesses. So maybe not $2 billion, closer to 300 million, but even as small, I have one I worked with today that was quite literally a mom and pop shop where it was $3 million in gross revenue, right? And it's very nice and fulfilling to be able to help companies like that who have started their own business continue to employ people, but also continue to stay afloat. So that's a lot of what I do. And it's basically managing relationships, seeing how I can best help them. And I'm pretty proud of the work I've done because you can see the tangible impact year over year. And people get excited. It is nice when you see someone's face and they know you can give them money. They're pretty happy to talk to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, but obviously, now that I know your family owns Sergio and you got multiple locations in Miami, that's your family business as well. I'm curious how you thinking about that, right? Do you continue the corporate track, or do you you know what, I'm going to go back to Miami and scale the business?
Yeah, that's what the fun part is about being right out of Dartmouth is I've been broad enough where I feel like I can go any route. I'm having fun with what I'm doing now, and I feel fulfilled with what I'm doing now. But parents are getting older. There's a time for transitioning it, right? And with my business background and seeing how other companies run, part of me also wants to go there and help scale that up. I think it goes down to what's driving you. And both of us being Cuban, right? Part of me wants to go back to Miami and go back to my roots with the Cuban aspect of it. But at the same time, why I studied what I studied, why you studied what you studied, that also drives me. So how can I continue to make an impact there? That's where I'm leaning towards. But I mean, there's worse things to do than run a to scale a Cuban restaurant in Miami. That's a good backup.
Hey, listen. As far as I could see, you still have run track here. Another 5, 10 years to continue to compounding on your experiences, and that will just give you to be more well-rounded, right?
Mhm.
So that if you do decide to do that, and plus you have siblings as well, but if you do decide to do that, that's a good backup plan. I mean, like,
Yeah, right. It's not bad.
yeah, that's not bad.
Not at
So,
all.
Ubaldo, given your background and your journey, I wonder how your definition of success, éxito, has evolved with time.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good question, and I feel like it changes every year. Every time something happens, it does change. I guess taking a step back would be, if you asked me when I got to Dartmouth, it would have been becoming a Major League Baseball player who, I want to shout out a teammate here of mine, Ben Rice, doing very well with the Yankees. So very good option there, right? More power to him. He's doing very well. But when I graduated Dartmouth, it was, okay, let me find a good job where I can have a good career and make a lot of money. Then I got a good job, and the career's going well. But now it's changed a little bit, where it's, how can I impact as many people as I can? That's essentially where I've learned that in the past year and a half. And my dad told me, if you chase the money, you'll have it, but you're not going to be happy. And I'm starting to feel it a little bit, where it's not about that. It's about, how can you, I guess, serve is the best word, or help other people as much as you can, because then the money will come, right? And at the same time too, you'll feel good. You'll feel like you're making a positive impact. So I think for now, if you ask me next year, it might change a little bit again. But at the moment, it feels like impact on people, right? And the question is, how you're going to impact people.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I echo your sentiments, and I would even say that once you get married and have kids, it modifies, it evolves. There's
Yeah.
another level of metamorphosis that take place as to what
Mhm.
éxito looks like. Um, I'd be curious to think along the same lines. How do you think about legacy, right? And how do you think about where you want to be? What are you chasing, and what do you want to be 10, 20 years from now?
Yeah. I mean, these are really good questions here. So when it comes to legacy, there's a movie, Coco,
Yeah.
that it's the thing where whenever someone forgets you, that's the second time you die. So there's that, right? And so making an impact on the people that you really care about, your family, your close friends, significant others. I think that's an important legacy. And I think that's more so what I care about. It's, how can we, for me, it's my siblings. How can I be a good example for my siblings? So they tell their kids about me, and those kids tell their kids about me. For my future kids, I don't have any yet, but right, how can I be a good father for them? For my family too, or my friends that have met me along the way, how do I leave that legacy with them? And I think it's a legacy and success are different. Success is for me, success is like, how are you going to do with your action, with your day to day, your work, your hobbies. But legacy is how you treat people. I think that's how I see it.
Yeah, and I think along those same lines, right? I never focus on changing the world as much as
Mhm.
changing people's world.
Yeah.
Right? Like, hey, I can't I can't operate over here, but I can operate right here. Right?
Yeah.
As a
100%.
friend, as an ally, as a champion of someone. I think the biggest, most proudest metric that I carry as a professional is the 57 people that I've helped to get promoted and
That's
get
nice.
to the next steps. Right?
Mhm.
Like, I track that, and I'm like, yes, I influence that. Right?
Mhm.
Um, okay, as we come to towards the end of this podcast, um, I wonder, what would you tell a younger version of yourself in terms of either
Mhm.
optimizing your Dartmouth experience, or accelerating some things, or maybe even like stopping some things and pivoting? What
Yeah.
would that answer be?
Man. what I would tell my younger self is it's gonna work out. Don't worry about the details about it. What I want my younger self to do is enjoy and appreciate the moments a little bit more. Because Dartmouth, you go fast, 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 and then you blink and it's 4 years. You're so worried about my grades. I mean, it's important, right? But you're worried about my grades. How am I doing in baseball? Am I, do I have enough friends? Am I going to get in that frat in secret society? But in doing that, you got to stop and smell the rose a little bit. So I wish I would have done that a little bit more. But aside from that, I'm happy and I love the way it turned out. Even with COVID, even with all, because looking back, it taught me everything and it helped me grow into who I am now.
Okay, let's end on a high note. Any peculiar memory that makes you smile, or something that out of those 4 years, and obviously 2 years on campus, that like, wow, every time I think about that, I smile.
That's a good one. For me, what makes me smile was believe it or not, my friends, my senior year, I found a new friend group. We were part of like the senior societies one, right? I met a bunch of new people and I'd done a bunch of stuff I'd never done before. That was when I started swimming in the river. I started, going to the day parties a little bit. That senior year, man, there's something, and with COVID right over here looking at us, and we didn't care. That was fun. That's probably what when I look back at Dartmouth, I smile at that. That was really awesome.
That's wonderful. Well, Ubaldo, thank you so much for sharing your story and your journey with us. And thank you, everybody who's online, for joining us for this conversation in this older podcast of Around the Girdle Earth. If you found today's conversation that it sparked a memory, it sparked a smile, gave you something to think about, please leave us a thoughtful reflection in the comment section. And please share the episode with a classmate, with a fellow alumni, or, that's just one more simple way of keeping the Dartmouth spirit alive in this age of digital noise and chaos. So until next time, keep sharing your story, stay curious, and keep roaming this beautiful fertile earth. Thank you, everybody.